Welcome back. So in the last video we covered the different kinds of scope. In this video we can talk about some of the problems that come with having um, a lot of code in the context of scope. There's a term that is used amongst developers called global scope pollution. We try not to pollute the global scope, and the reason being is that things in the global scope can potentially be modified or changed in ways that might cause bugs in the program. So this happens particularly with large projects. So this class and the intro class don't really have projects big enough that this would really cause an issue. But if you can think of large complex projects, I've worked on projects with thousands and thousands of lines of code. And JavaScript files all over the place. And so if you have all those files in the global scope, that can cause a problem. So let's just kind of view that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new script here. We're going to call it secondfile.js. So let's add that second file. So even though this is a clean, brand new file, every JavaScript file that is declared in an HTML file in a browser by default is in the global scope, which means that if I go ahead and start calling some of these functions here, and so we have greeting, it's console log, name, and let's do add 12 and 12. So I save this and we run it. This is going to work because all those variables and such are accessible in the global scope, which can cause problems. Now, luckily, with some of the ES6 stuff we've been using, problems will hopefully not will be more catchable. So let's say that in the second file I decided to try to make a new variable called name. Const name equals and I do that, and what's going to happen is that I'll get an error because the name variable in the other file was declared with a const, and I can't redeclare a new variable since I've already made a const variable. However, in the past with vars, that was totally possible. That would have no issues. And so variables could be inexplicably overwritten because common variable names like name would still be in the global scope, and we could change them and whatnot. And so to get around this, what developers did, and I did this back when I first learned coding, we used what's known as an IIFE, an immediately invoked function expression. And the way that works was as follows. We would declare a anonymous function and put all of our code inside of it. And what this does is, if you know your scope, it made a local scope in the context of this anonymous function. And so now in this file, none of that stuff is accessible. So we have greeting here, and it fails immediately because this is only accessible in this function expression. Now that was kind of sloppy and more of a hack than anything. And luckily, we now have the concept of modules, which are much nicer and a little cleaner to work with. It allows you to organize your code in a very nice way. So that's what we'll be covering next. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.